Hello, welcome back to the Hackurate podcast, episode 13. I'm your host, Aaron Howell.
I'm Nathan Goodman.
How's it going?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going all right.
Or are you asking the audience?
You,
Oh.
more so.
It's going good.
They can't tell me.
Right?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're here.
we're here.
We're back in the thing.
Been pretty much just playing a lot of Starfield most of the time. And then when I've not been playing Starfield, I've been watching some interesting shows.
Yeah. To say the least.
To say the least. I'll let you explain Naked Attraction.
Well, I'll tell
stumbled across it.
The story about getting that the other day, though.
Oh, yeah.
Story about getting handed weed while driving around.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where to start. But I don't know. It was a decent order, and I went into a gated community, and there was all these people outside, and I was supposed to just drop it at the door, but they were all standing outside, and I handed the order to a guy, and he was like, I said no to the girls inside, but I should eat it. Ha ha. And I was like, yeah, ha ha. And then just kind of started walking away. And I was like almost in my car, and he was like, hey, do you have weed on you? And I was like, no. I was like, thought it was a pretty suspicious question. Yeah. He was like, do you want some? I was like, I guess so. So I like walked over to his car.
That's hilarious.
And he was like, anytime you're by this house, just be like, come by and get some. And I was just like, okay, but it's in a gated community. And then also he was in a car with two people that I assume were his kids, because there was like a really young kid and then like a teenager.
Whoa.
And he just like whipped out a jar in front of both of them, who couldn't have cared less.
Yeah.
Because they were screen locked.
Yeah.
And he was just like, look at this, look at it. It's huge and beautiful. And I was like, okay.
Whoa.
He was like, take it. And then I had to double wrap it in a bag and put it in my spare tire underneath the lid on my spare tire. It was too strong. It kept stinking up my car every time I like turn my car off and go in somewhere. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it just smells stanky.
What the hell?
That's funny.
Yeah,
wow,
that was
wild.
I don't think in all my years of delivering
rare gift weed,
or like when I used to deliver / now, I've never been given weed before. It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Only, I think a guy gave me like a cigar once. I don't remember. I know he was trying to give me something, and I was like, no. Because he asked if I wanted to take a shot, and I was like, I'm literally driving right now.
Right, my job is driving, sir.
It wouldn't be the worst.
Excuse me.
I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly, we were like not even a half mile away from my work at the time. So I would have gotten back, and they would have been like, why do you smell like rum?
Be like, I don't know. I'm just dropping off pizza.
Okay, we went from that last house. I'm definitely not doing shooters with my customers.
Yeah. However much they may want to.
Right?
It's like apparently they want to.
It's not that garbage. Just do it with them when you're there. But
I think he's just lonely. Needs someone to do a shot with him.
I mean, if I was any more of a older person, I probably would have done it. But I still wouldn't do it even now, to be honest. Can't really drive
can't say I
that well, even on like sitting at a place for a while after drinking.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Swerving.
Don't recommend it.
Don't be drinking and driving.
Do it.
Don't do it.
Just DoorDash your drinks to your house.
And tip well. That should be...
Well, if you want them to get to you.
Yeah, if you want them to get to you in your order. You want good service? You got to tip. And over time, that becomes known. And then the DoorDashers in that area will be more apt.
Your stuff gets to you way quick.
To help you out.
Unless it hides it. I've been getting a lot of hidden tips lately, too. That's kind of whack.
That's cool.
Because it also makes you think that maybe what you're picking up is a hidden tip. You get a little excited. And you're like, maybe there's a chance. I picked up $100 worth of Whataburgers today. I think it was 25 burgers, 50 burgers.
What?
I don't know. It was 2 huge packs of Whataburgers.
What'd you get tipped?
It was $7, but it was like 5.
Nice.
So I'm just like, so they only tipped 5 on that like $100 order, which is fine. Totally fine. It's totally an acceptable order for the distance. It was only like 3.5 miles, I think. But yeah, they definitely like bait you, just like get you in that mindset of like, maybe any of these could be.
Yeah, I could be getting
secretly more.
The jackpot.
So you can't take anything.
I wonder how many people who are either former, current, or potential gamblers are Door Dashers. I wonder, wonder what the ratios are.
That's funny, right? Just hits that point in your head. You're like, and spin the wheel.
Just
spin the wheel.
Spin that wheel. Make your money. Maybe make more money.
I'm surprised the like resurgence of gambling. To be honest, the
yeah, it's everywhere. Podcasts and everything.
Every other commercial is
DraftKings.
Yeah, is for like, sportsbook. I've seen a lot more sportsbook.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Isn't DraftKings? Isn't it called DraftKings Sportsbook?
As much anymore. Maybe they're rebranding slowly.
Maybe. Hey, I'm not opposed to sponsoring, but it's not sports isn't my thing.
Yeah, seeing a lot of that is pretty interesting.
Yeah, the gambling.
And then I was talking about our casinos,
but keep people spending their money.
To my friend Brett, and he was like, "How do you have casinos there? I thought that was only in Nevada." And I was like, "How many times do I have to tell you we're next to a big old reservation area and there's 2 giant casinos?" I've told him at least twice.
Well, there's casinos everywhere. There's casinos in Tennessee.
There's places to do a slot machine, but I think you still have to turn over tokens and stuff that don't make them technically casinos. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anywhere particular that. What? Name a place.
Isn't Harrah's one?
Harrah's?
Or is that out here? That's out here.
I'm pretty sure that's out here.
There's definitely a casino. I've seen billboards for stuff. Maybe it's up around Gatlinburg somewhere, or closer to Chattanooga.
Sure, those weren't just the fireworks sold here signs.
I've been to fireworks places. I've purchased fireworks. I know
those places are scary. Maybe it's just the
fireworks.
Yeah. Shops? Maybe it's just the essence of the amount of potential energy,
just all of the explosives
within the building.
In the building.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everybody's outside, you see trashy guys chain smoking and throwing it out before going inside, or the guys working there seasonally, just fucking hitting, ripping a butt and then throwing it.
You gotta light that shit across the parking lot.
Yeah, 200 yards, please. Thank you. I wonder if that's why they always have them outside on the edges of cities too.
Everyone who works at one probably is a vapor.
Yeah. No, that might even be worse, because then you have a explosive heating element.
Yeah, but you're not sitting there with an open flame around paper.
Yeah, that's
explosives.
True. That's true. It's not worse.
Unless it's.
But Mythbusters proved you can't light a tank of gas with a cigarette. It's not possible. You can't even shoot the back of a car and it explodes.
Well, of course that doesn't work. That's
tiny amounts of sparks get put out.
Who's ever shot metal with a gun
by gasoline?
Understand that. But that's Hollywood for you. They're just hey, dummies.
Mythbusters did dumber stuff.
It's really interesting. We're acting right now, movie studios are treating audiences like they're stupid, but they've always done that. It's always just been trying to keep ahead of people's disbelief anyways. So it's just
falling from crazy heights, things exploding all the time. Yeah, that's why I like that 21 Jump Street bit where they keep shooting things and think they're going to blow up and then they don't.
Yeah.
And you're you almost feel in your heart the lack of explosion.
Yeah.
But then you also, it's just a funnier joke each time.
Yeah.
Because you're just come on.
Yeah.
That definitely should have exploded.
Well, there's that It's Always Sunny bit too, where they're trying to blow up the car and Max shoots it a few times.
Oh yeah.
And Charlie's holding that popper under his nose. He's just oh, come on. And after they use that grenade too, and it just barely does anything.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, when there's just less fire, less light. Really, because grenades explode it's just it looks like a ball of dirt exploding in the air.
They're mostly just shrapnel.
Yeah,
that's the damaging thing.
That's the
why
problem.
Why do Hollywood grenades explode into fireballs?
Right?
Maybe they're just all incendiary grenades, but they still explode. And
when it looks like a frag grenade,
that's something that
usually a frag grenade.
I debated with Brett a lot, and you know sci-fi physics a little bit. And he knows regular physics, but firebenders or blasts of flame, don't really have that much of a concussive force. Explosions have concussive force, but fire shooting in a direction,
fire's like a current,
won't actually push you. It'll just burn you a lot. while
Yeah.
you stand there and get
I
burned.
would imagine you'd have to, like, in order to be pushed, it'd have to be a high intensity, like real high temperature fire, because then it's moving like actual force because of like the heat and the kinetic energy of the actual atoms in that space are moving quickly.
Right.
So like it's going to move something at a certain energy level.
Right.
But yeah, I see what you're saying. It's not an explosion.
Right.
It's just fire.
You wouldn't get hit with it and go, ah.
It's fire being translated across space.
Right. Even like the incendiary grenades, when they're like shown, quote unquote, shown in Hollywood, they kind of just like cover them in fire. So it's like, it's not,
well, and I wonder if that's
they
meant
don't
to be like
actually
more like
explode.
napalm or something. Like or it's probably mostly fuckery, though.
Yeah.
Hollywood. Oh.
Right.
Oh, hey, after 10 minutes, so woo!
Nice.
If we wanted to, we could probably try to monetize this bad boy.
Nice.
Hollywood's been lying to us, and that's why The Expanse is so good, because it's the closest thing we've got to real hard sci-fi, I think, as far as the physics go, in a long time, barring, so I'm not spoiling the science fantasy element involved. However, impactful that it is. Mostly real space physics. Oh, nice. Real nice.
I don't know if it got picked up, but I started snoring, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I started
a little snooze
snoring.
fest.
So we'll go into our subjects. Yeah. Speaking of real stuff, real reality on the screen.
Real shows.
And I know some people have been talking about Naked Attraction, but on HBO Max or just Max. The old Max, Bo. Yeah, it's British people, naked British people, lining up 6 in a row.
For dates.
And one person deciding who they want to date based off their naked bodies.
Yeah, essentially each of the 6 people has a preference that person finds attractive, that they've told them ahead of time. So they found these 6 people that each have one trait that person finds attractive. And they start from the bottom up. And it's like, what, 4 rounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
5 rounds?
5? Wait.
No,
basically
bottom half.
First round,
half,
they eliminate one person
face,
based off of just the bottom half.
Voice, and then the final.
Yeah.
So
like,
it's 5
basically
rounds.
Hip genitalia first, and then chests down, and then you get to see their face, and then they eliminate one of those people, and then you're down to the 2.
The voice.
Oh yeah, they do the voice. Is that?
Yeah, it's a separate round from the face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the one I'm missing.
It's very nonchalant round because you always think they're going to like ask a good question or anything, and they're just like, "What do you think do you like most about yourself?" It's
usually what do you like most or what do you hate most about your body.
Well, yeah.
Which
I just kind of stopped asking the "What do you hate most?"
Yeah,
kind of just hang out on the "What do you like the
positive,
most?"
Yeah, but
they should just ask a good question.
Yeah, just ask
something about their personality a little bit. For God's sakes, the rating on who's getting successful dates is very low. All of these dates are going.
We've probably
really bad.
watched 20+ rounds and have seen 4 successes.
4 successful dates where they see each other after an undisclosed amount of time. Crazy amounts of time. Like they'll go on their date and then it'll be like 7 weeks later, and I'm like, a month and 3 weeks.
Well, I feel like that's whenever if they were able to get their schedules to match up to where they would actually show up.
But that's crazy that you haven't even like tried to talk to the other person that you saw on a dating show where you
are supposed to
went totally naked on national television.
Yeah,
and you picked somebody. You should try a little bit harder. But I
you
felt
would think
most
so. But I mean, I think that really just shows how. Maybe relationship like I can't think of the term for it, but how poor people are at choosing, like being aware of like what they need in relationships, because like you're saying, like they're not asking the good questions that'll tell them beyond seeing them naked if this will like work out as much. And that's what they need to be doing, because the whole point of seeing someone naked is so you can focus on the other stuff. Right. And that's not what they're doing. They're like, "Oh, you're hot." They usually someone going out with the person they clearly think is the hottest, and then you're like, "All right,
yeah,
okay, you fucked up."
More often than not, the dude will get down to, a person that looks like they have a good personality out of the 6 that or the 4 that he
Still pretty
eliminated.
attractive.
Still really attractive, and then another person who like has fake titties and is like maybe some fake lips and is just super smiley, and they're like her. And you're like, come on, man, like why are you doing the most obvious thing? And then the people who don't do that, the guys are like total psychos. Like the one guy that called one of the girls chatty and the whole team room turned against him. I don't think any of those girls was going to like that guy.
No.
Yeah, some of these people are real wackos. Well, and also like I don't consume a lot of like I've never watched Doctor Who. I don't consume a lot of like a UK media.
Yeah.
You know, like just consume a lot of Eastern and, you know, American media. But so, you know, I don't really know like their personality types or like their face structures or like a lot of,
Yeah.
you know, their different accents that are in different regions and whatever. So it's very new in that front on getting like a profile on
the people,
the current, running, or I guess current being, we
Yeah.
started the first 2 seasons. So we're in like 2018 probably.
Yeah. Well, and especially with how much Japanese media you consume,
Yeah.
I imagine it's very different just going hard into a British show. Although, you know, we watch a great British baking show, but it's a very different context when you're looking at a bunch of nude people who signed up to be there for dating.
Yeah. And they're not
It's
really
very
like,
bizarre.
they're not really doing much more than like standing around
Yeah.
and like being vain. But I mean, you know, the show is also like maybe a theoretical antithesis on like, don't judge your book by the cover. Like, watch these people fail
Yeah.
because they don't know, you know, they think that what they're attracted to isn't actually what's going to work.
Yeah. Someone out there write a paper on it. Watch this show.
It's
and
probably
write a
based off
paper
of
on
that
it.
kind of stuff. They're just
Yeah.
like, we have all these stats that say, you know, we like these kinds of attractiveness, but you know, that doesn't translate to personalities. It's
No.
2023 out here. We're complex people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of different notes and hits and things that are going on in our
Yeah.
brains. Some of these people are just basic. Like they're
Yeah,
literally
very basic.
standing there just like gazing out at nothing while the person picks them out of a lineup, and then they go on a date and can't have a single bit of conversation. And you're just like, damn, how boring.
Right. Side quest.
Yeah. Side quest where you had to go and just bear it all. Take it off.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's definitely brutal. A lot of talking about willies.
Yeah, and you know,
willies and muck. I heard a new euphemism
yeah.
for the, you know, old clam burger, you know, the box, the snatch. You can now use the term muck, M-U-K. I saw it. It was in the subtitles. And some guy said it. So, you know what?
It's just not very flattering.
Yeah. Getting down in the muck means a new thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking going straight down into that zone. The end zone. Aaron is repulsed. He
Not
hates
the
it
friend
every
zone.
time I've said it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
It's also pretty funny, like watching it and watching like Rachel's reaction when they meet back up and the guys get like friend zoned, because you
Yeah.
never like, I don't think like girls
Experience.
I know
that
what they're
so
doing.
much.
Like I know,
Or what do you mean?
and they should be doing that. Like they
Yeah.
need to tell men, like, I don't want to be with you.
Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely
Like that needs, it's a necessary thing that has to happen.
It's,
I'm never
that's a
gonna
realistic
say,
way to be like, hey, like I do think you're chill, but I don't want to date you.
yeah.
That's a very realistic way to approach that, because
Right.
like you don't want to tell someone like, oh, I'm going to be your enemy now.
Right.
That's at the very least you have to be like, well, we can be friends.
Right.
Like, why not?
But the slight like emotional investment in like the thing coming from like an audience member, it's almost like you're also kind of the guy.
Yeah.
And so when he gets friend zoned, then you as the audience member are like,
You're just like,
oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
And then I turned over to Rachel because, you know, I'm like, do women know what they're doing when they're doing it to people? It's like stabbing. It's a good stabbing. You got to do it because otherwise you get stabbed.
But yeah, you know, it's certainly not good on the receiving
Yeah,
end.
the metaphorical stabbing of your words.
Well, my question is just what's the equivalent for ladies?
I mean, I guess ghosting, but that's kind of in any zone. I wouldn't really say there's.
Yeah, but ghosting happens both ways.
I mean, I guess the only real equivalent of that would be getting into it with a guy and finding out he already has another girl or like a wife.
Well, and I guess ladies also can get friend zoned. It just is maybe not as common, or you don't hear about it.
I just don't think they.
I don't hear.
I just don't think they feel the like they don't have the testosterone highs and lows, so they don't feel the like this is a chance and then there's no chance kind of a thing that I think men necessarily feel innately. So it's like women will feel, they kind of will coast through, they'll feel a little bit up and down based on how they're doing anyway, but it won't throw them as much as like typically because otherwise it wouldn't be a thing. It wouldn't be
So you're saying
a
like
thing that men talk
like
about
the
at all.
level-headedness wins out for women
Yeah.
as opposed to the dudes.
Yeah.
You know,
Otherwise,
being
like 'cause,
emotionally reactive.
you get into high school and that happens to you already twice, and you're just like, this is weird that this has happened to me. And then some other random guy brings it up, and you're like, wait, this is happening to other people, and then you only hear about it from guys.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what's up with this?
Yeah.
Like, so I definitely think it has to be like a thing that is both hormone induced and societally like understandable.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
well,
you
it
gotta
is
say no.
interesting because
You gotta be like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
down.
Well, it's like a
Like, treat
construct
dudes like
built
dogs.
around the experience, and that's like what has the name
Yeah.
and like why it's a thing.
Right. I mean, that's definitely like a millennial term, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt it came. I don't think that's a thing we're gonna secretly find out is from Shakespeare's fucking Act 3 of.
Oh, doth mine friend zone.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely
Wish I
fucking
you a knife.
Oedipus
hadst
got
thou.
friend zoned by his mom. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, yeah, it would have been. I mean, this isn't Oedipus.
I
This isn't the Greeks.
Just trying to think of a random Shakespeare plays.
Hamlet.
Hamlet? Yeah,
I don't remember anything from Hamlet.
Oh, well. The Tempest?
Othello. Yeah, the Tempest.
Iago is in Othello, right? That guy?
I think that
was the villain.
No, I think that's the protagonist, right?
No, that's the antagonist. Othello is the protagonist.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Othello. I thought you were talking about Hamlet.
Oh.
Wait, what about Macbeth?
Who's the antagonist of Hamlet?
I don't know. It's been a little while.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been thinking about getting a keyboard guy, or maybe just
a keyboard. you would just get Rachel.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We're just gonna slap Rachel on a Google and tell her to
have
Google
to be like,
stuff.
unless you want to be on mic, you'll have to pay me and we'll buy a mic.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But if she doesn't want to be on mic, she's got to be quiet.
Just lean the mic over every once in a while.
Or at least find a way to signal, like be like, hey, I want to say something.
Yeah.
But, what were we talking about? Oh, Shakespeare something. No, he's friend zoned.
Watching it live.
Watching it live is pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal from like the other side.
This show makes me kind of get like other, I guess, classic dating shows, which have never really been my thing.
Yeah.
But I think this show, at least, I'm just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oof.
Oh yeah,
savage.
Yeah.
But kind of like what you said too, when they go on their first date after having seen each other naked, it's almost like this is like a second date, and then it's just going poorly. And then, so it's almost like, oh, we're already going somewhere, right. And then you're friend zone, right? So maybe that's why it also you're like, ooh,
it's very much like
that's rough.
The picking and the choosing and the game show feels like the first date. It feels like they've slept together even though they haven't.
Yeah, they've literally walked off the stage holding hands naked. Yeah. Sometimes the guys will pick up the ladies and carry them out, which I'm just like, so what are the rules on contact then? I don't know.
There seems to be no rules. I mean, sometimes everybody's like, don't touch. And then sometimes the lady is like, oh, give him a hug. And you're like, geez.
But it's almost always like.
This is like Girls Gone Wild levels of coercion.
Yeah.
Like, go on, kiss her.
But you can definitely tell.
You want to do other stuff, don't you?
Right. You can definitely tell some of the ladies have a very firm like boundary where it's just like they won't move in for a hug or anything. They'll just stand there.
We're gonna find out that the producers,
strong willpower,
the producers and hosts of Naked Attraction all bought an island and just ran away like the Girls Gone Wild guys.
Yeah.
It's like, we gotta get out of here.
We kept having these return people, and
all our bad deeds are going to catch up to us.
Yeah,
the return people too. Oh my God.
Yeah, we've
talk
seen
about
at
the
least
shame
3 or 4
of getting turned down twice on the like
different
second
seasons.
or first round. Just 2 different people being like, I don't like your hooch. Your snatch is not what I got going on today. That's a flat butt with a tiny crack. And you're just like, oh, God damn. Right. Stop signing up for this.
And, and I've said it before, like, also just prep. You knew you were coming on the show. You should have done your, look nice.
But some people have been like, I like all the hair.
expression, like, you get up in your church clothes or something.
One
but
guy
even
was-
if you're not a churchgoer, I'm not. But look nice, dress up.
I'm screaming over
Dress up your body. You give it a second. I was trying to run with the church thing. All right, what?
Some of those people get turned down for being trimmed, and they're like, I don't even normally trim.
Well, don't trim. Like, okay, I've seen a lot of extremes. And it seems to be the people kind of resting in the middle that usually seem to gain at least a lot of the momentum for most, sometimes then that's where they get overtaken and someone's like, I'm going to go with this classically hot person. And you're just like, oh, okay. Well,
or like shadow crotch, where it's like shadow from like this inside of knee to inside of knee on both legs from so much hair.
Oh, yeah. Just
Can't
like
see what's going on.
Fading into the void.
Yeah.
And
it's just
it fades into like a weird
goes up a little bit right as your abs start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shadow.
Yeah.
It's like a 90s fucking comic, just all the way up to the crotch. There's nothing there.
Did they do that in
comics?
Don't know.
I mean, they kind of look like that. They look like that in all the, you can draw like this, how to draw comic books, fucking books that people kept buying me.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm not going to do it. I'm lazy.
I tried a few, but the comics were never my speed.
I mean, I learned some of the
music
things.
was my path.
But I kept picking up on, I feel like something I lack in an artistic thing is like an internal imagination box. Like I do good with words and like composition of thoughts, but I don't do good with like.
That's what's filling up your imagination box.
You're right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
That you don't have it. It's
but
just,
I can't like think about like a thing that I want to visually do, which is like that's kind of why I like the pour painting, because it has like chaos element and abstract, and I don't have to be like, oh, it was supposed to look like this, now it looks like this, because that's what I hated with drawing.
Well, it's because like the way you know how to like approach something too is by building a narrative around it. So that's not right. What you're doing.
Right. And when I try to draw, and you know that it's not looking like you want it to look,
born out of chaos, so maybe that's why you like that.
Right. I don't hate that either.
Yeah.
You kind of draw what you want from it.
Yeah.
Without being like, you have to draw from this.
Yeah. I mean, when
really specific message.
That's the best point of art in general is just like, have a reaction to it, but that's it. That's the art affecting you, is whatever reaction. So it's like it could be a low dose or it could be a high dose. Just whatever gives you those high doses, that's the art you love.
Right. I mean, you can't get a scale on the naked attraction people on their tattoos, like at all. Like some people have cool tattoos and they're just like weirdos, or they have a ton of tattoos and they're really tame when they do the voice part. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
The variety.
It's cool to see like how many different people, especially in just one, because again, Britain's the size of a state. I've looked it up, point to point, north to south, it's 12 hours. So
it's like Texas.
It's like Florida.
Florida's,
well, I guess longer than that, but
longer than that.
Well, it's like 12.
Florida's not longer, but it's bigger.
It's about 12. Yeah, Florida, I'm just thinking of the drive though from Tennessee to like Daytona. But it's
it's 10 hours to Live Oak from Knoxville, so
maybe more like, I don't know.
All right, I guess maybe Florida.
maybe Florida.
I'll give you that. Maybe a little bit bigger than Florida.
Yeah. But anyway, so like to see the diversity of people for such a small place.
Oh yeah.
And presumably most of them, like they're coming from all around.
Yeah.
They tell you what towns they're from, but you hear about them like they're all like almost coming from villages, which I assume is just like their version of rural. Like small town side satellite towns.
Right.
But yeah, it's all kinds of different people for the most part. Except a lot of uncut dicks. That's the one thing that most people seem to have in common.
I was about to go into that. It was on the uncut dicks were on the tip of my tongue this whole time.
Definitely not on the tip of the dick.
Okay. Yeah, you're not seeing the tips.
Nope,
that's for sure.
Can't see them. Maybe one in every guy rotation will have an uncircumcised penis.
So when you were talking about the diversity, you weren't like talking about race. You were just talking about the general area.
Well, I mean,
like the different cities.
Race is included, but we've not seen too much racial diversity. But we've seen some people who
they've tried
come from like the Philippines. I think we've seen some people from the U.S.
What we haven't seen it? There was one girl from Texas.
Yeah.
That was a blowout. That girl argued with her guy at the end because she ended up getting with a guy who didn't ever have a cell phone before then.
That poor girl.
And he was like, I don't know how to use my iPhone.
He
And
was
she
one
was
of
like,
those hairy
that's not an
monsters who was
excuse.
just beyond.
And he was like, this could have been our
shadow.
journey. You teaching me how to become a modern man. And she's just like, I'm a Texan gal who lives in the UK now. So we're just going to get down to business brass tacks. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And then they argued for a while.
I mean, she wouldn't have gotten along with them. Like, two very different attitudes.
You know, you got to take a chance. The fact that these people don't see or call each other for a month or more is just like, you didn't try.
And yeah, absolutely. It's like they're not trying. And like the fact that they're not calling and expecting a text to be all that they should do between, you know, the two check-in points for this show
right
that they're a part of, because this is still part of a show. So like they're supposed to check back eventually. So
Hobo guy, I would have gone straight into the iPhone store and been like,
but here's the thing.
Give me a phone.
Not smart.
And then help me text this girl.
Yeah.
So definitely there's a lack of trying on all ends.
A lack of trying and a lack of just like basic awareness of like, because like he was like, what? How's that my fault? And she's like, you didn't even like look at your shit.
But I also feel like
it's like, man, you came into this knowing that you're not a technology person. You should be putting in the effort to figure that out.
Learn how to contact a person, for God's sakes.
It's on you.
If you look at the range of like...
And shave your goddamn pubes.
If you look at range of just the contest shows in the different, you know, countries and whatever, it's like America, you always have to be like peak physical something or peak in your field. And then like game shows in other countries are just game shows.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we don't, I know there are a lot of game shows here and we don't consume any of them. Like all the ones Fox has, like Masked Singer and all those, or, you know, where they don't have celebrities. But like, I definitely think the non-celebrity ones, or, you know, the non like super competitive where it's just like an event happening, like a game show. Like it's just kind of funsies.
Yeah.
Like then it's kind of like a little bit nicer, lower stakes.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why Family Feud is so successful.
Yeah.
Because it says it's called Family Feud.
Right. It's just a one-off,
but
too.
It's very light. It's not actually what the name would normally imply.
It probably bonds you as a family. Like, remember when we went on Family Feud?
Yeah, it's probably really fun.
Whoa.
Some of my family members tried out for it. They didn't get it, but they did try it out.
It's like when we met Steve Harvey, and he was wearing a giant suit. Did they?
I don't know. Now I can't remember. Maybe. I've also seen them with photos of Shaq, so that's cool.
Huh.
Like,
what are your relatives doing?
Just adventuring, living. They're older than I am.
Oh.
It's my older cousins who are like,
Getting around.
10 plus years on me. I was going to say, you mentioned, though, contest shows that expecting kind of like, a peak physical. Peak ability.
That's
so
where our new zone is.
Netflix Physical 100, a Korean show, basically the real life version of Don't Get Your Hopes Up. Squid Game.
Yeah.
I say that it doesn't involve death, but it looks like the producers took the general idea of the environment of Squid Game and ran with it.
Leaned in real hard.
Pretty awesome. Like it's 100 of some of the most physically fit and capable people in Korea. Competing in a few different physical challenges, some team-based, some individual-based, in order to win the equivalent of about $223,000 US. It's 300 million won. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to watch. It's crazy how huge some of these people are.
Yeah.
When you think about just their general averages of the Korean build, and you're like, whoa. Well, I don't... the puffing up thing is crazy to me. Just the fact that like
how dense
people can puffer fish.
Like, they just have like a million,
and then just kind of like deflate and look kind of normal, and then be like, and then just look huge, and everything's like swollen, and their lats are swollen.
Well, it's just like it's just like the same thing as just a strong exercise, but it's like when it's your whole body and they're doing whole body stuff, everything's just.
Well, I don't mean in the middle of the task. I just mean like before when they're showing off their muscles.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the muscles in action really doing the work.
Just the swelling to like twice your size. Well, and also it's funny because they show like
Well, it's
huge,
good electricity, really, because that's
huge-
ultimately what makes muscles contract.
beefy, buff guys, and then they show like even bigger guys, and then they go back to the first guys, and you're like, well, now they look tiny.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
some of
that
these
was crazy
guys look
'cause
like
they
real
started-
nerds.
Yeah, they started with a few like really fit, like, you know, relatively like, you know, probably like 160 dudes, 180 maybe, like weight wise. But then, you know, suddenly they've got tanks like 250 plus.
230.
I'm talking about the guys
Okay,
coming in
the
after
younger,
that.
the younger,
Those guys
the
show
thinner
up and
side.
you're just like, wow, who are these nerds?
Yeah.
Like what you're saying. It's
Yeah.
just like so shocking to see the difference in builds and like
It's like letting ninjas into the room and then a bunch of sumo wrestlers is basically what it looked like.
yeah.
It was like a bunch of thin, lithe, like thin,
thinges.
super tough people. And I mean, that's, you know, shitty to say because they weren't Japanese. So
Yeah.
I'm just making a comparison about jobs and, you know, skill level. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
the culture specifically.
Oh, I got that.
All right.
Yeah.
People at home. We'll be right back.
America. Anyways, yeah. So the first couple challenges were just. I don't really want to spoil them this time. Maybe if we talk about the show again, we'll go into more specifics.
You can talk about the first challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
The hanging one.
Yeah, the pre-challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a pre-challenge that was just to give you a benefit to the picking a person ultimately in the first challenge. Like you got to choose your opponent for whatever the first challenge entailed. And it was just literally hanging from a metal structure for as long as possible. So
Over a water pit.
over a hot water pit. Not boiling, just like spa water. It was like a nice water pit, but you know,
Look hard. Hanging looks hard.
Very hard.
And I think what they got to 15 minutes.
15 minutes for the last two guys, I believe, and like that's insane.
Yeah. Some of the big beefy guys fell pretty much immediately.
I think at my best climbing hang, I could probably do like 2 minutes, maybe. Like that's pushing it. That'd have to be a really good day.
I haven't tried. We got to try, and then we got to go take the money from the Ren Fair guys. We
You
got to
gotta
have like
go-
hang on this bar, and we'll give you $20, or you give me $20, or however that works. Pretty
I'm
sure
not
it's like
paying him.
pretty sure it's like $100.
That's
It's a
crazy.
game. You know, it's like $5.
Oh,
Pay him
well,
like $5.
I'd be down to do
and then
it.
he might give
Just
you
gotta
$100.
Start training. When's the Ren Fair?
Doesn't seem
Spring?
that hard.
I could. I mean, it doesn't
I think if
seem.
you get a bunch of money if you climb that wall.
The
wall.
Yeah.
They have a wall by the castle.
Well, I remember
climbing
the wall.
If you
but-
climb the hard one, you get money.
They give you money. I don't. Maybe I remember that.
But
Wild.
yeah, I remember my friend was like,
Just
who
remember-
is super into climbing, was like, I want to do it, and then never did. Because he kept forgetting his climbing shoes. I was like, when are you going to find time? We're working when it's happening.
Right. You gotta have.
You're not
going to
be able to. And then you can't go on the grounds when it's not in session.
Oh, yeah.
So
Dang. Brutal.
it's pretty lame. You got to sit
Yeah.
next to a really fun, cool place and be like, I can't walk over there.
Yeah. Well, I
'Cause
mean,
it's
that's
fun.
that's kind of my job though too. Like I can't just be there unless I have a ticket. to
Right? You can't
go.
just zone out and like watch for a little while.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of can. It depends on the moment. Like, you know, there are moments where you can sit there
you allowed
for
to talk
a
about
few
this?
seconds. Yeah. You can just sit there for a few moments and like, you know, be like, oh yeah, like
Look, context.
Oh, that's
Context.
really
He
cool,
shut us
but-
down last step for spitting some proprietary shit.
well,
so
no, I didn't.
have to
What was it? We were talking
dance
about like drink
around.
portions, maybe, or something,
dance
or drinks. I was just
around.
like, nah, it's not that big of a deal.
No, I don't care.
I just want to keep my job. Yeah, like I mean, you know, there are points of the show that like I barely ever see because like when you and I went, there were a few moments where I was just like, I don't remember seeing this ever. Like one of the games, I was just like, oh, this is a game, that's cool. And so like there are times, especially if you see something happening.
It's just fucking
Yeah.
putting loops on sticks.
Well, there's different things.
how-
There's a hoop game. I don't want
Right.
to spoil it, but there's hoop games. There's some
I know
other horse
there was like a
games.
diving, jumping off the horse one. That was kind of cool.
Oh, that was just a guy like getting knocked off for jousting. But
Well.
yeah, that's awesome. Like, you know, you jump off horse, then you
it?
fight.
Remember, he like jumped off. They were like jumping off, stabbing or doing a.
Yeah.
They like jump off the horse. I'm pretty sure it was a game.
It wasn't a game.
When we went, I'm pretty sure there was like a jump off the horse. They all did it.
Oh, then maybe there was that part, and that's one too. I got pretty lit that.
I'm telling you,
so there we go.
Because all 4 of them did like a jumping task.
Nice. Well, then
they jumped off.
Egg on my face.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm pretty sure. And then there was like a spearing one or a stabbing one. Because then the guys had to run out and jump and grab the spear.
Yeah, there's like a little target spear thing.
Looked harder to jump up and grab the spear than it was to throw the spear at the target.
I remember a couple months in, I was watching a guy try to jump and grab a spear. This was a moment where I was standing there. I was just watching. And like this guy, a squire was trying to grab the spear, and he had to jump 3 or 4 times before he could make contact and get it out. The knight really sunk it at the top of the target.
Yeah,
did bad. It was a bad shot.
I like missed. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
A bad shot. Yeah, like you just get opportunities because like it's like if you have any extra free time, there's usually things to do, but if like there's a moment where there's nothing immediately pressing, that's where you have the opportunity to, like, if you're nearby and like you're right there, like you can just be like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
But we don't normally go out of our way though either, because it's just like we're just working. Plus, whenever you're in the arena, like if you're walking like on the other side, if you just walk around the outside, you get a good 30 plus seconds of just being like, I can just watch this arena while I'm walking around.
Kind of wish in that physical 100 show they did like kept all 100 for like a little bit longer.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Had a couple more tasks that were like just a crowd of buff people doing a thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
maybe a point system for like maybe 2 tasks. But I know people would come out ahead really fast and it wouldn't make much of a difference. But
yeah,
I think having 100 people present for like a minute. And what we didn't talk about is when they're funneling 100 people into a big ass room, they have a bunch of like busts that are just like their chest.
Yeah, like recreations of each athlete's
so everybody
body.
Can like see what their bodies look like, what each person's bodies look like under their shirts.
As they're walking in.
And they're just like, wow, this guy's huge. Wow, look at these muscles. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So people like recognizing names, being like, "Oh shit, they're here!" And like, yeah, it's really cool. There's a bunch of really apparently very famous like martial artists and like MMA fighters, special forces guys. What?
Lifter guys,
power
lifters,
wrestlers,
strongest man.
Right, a couple just celebrities,
wrestlers. The wrestlers were doing really good in some of the one-on-one matches.
Yeah.
But anyway, watch the show.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess we don't need to spoil everything on our first time talking about it.
Or spoil.
Spoil?
Foil. Yeah, foil any of it.
Don't spoil it.
I'm going to foil it.
Spoiled it.
Spoiled it. What other new things have we watched? Oh, yeah, Loki's out. Loki is out.
It's just going to be a big first step.
Yeah, probably. With a weird cliffhanger.
I don't think I'm interested in watching the rest of Ahsoka.
Yeah, I'm not really either.
It was so boring
at all.
And I don't really care that much. And it's a bunch of stuff that
it seems like a MacGuffin quest. A lot of talking, which is not what I like Star Wars for.
Continuous callback situation. And I'm just like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I don't even want to learn more because it doesn't matter. I can't cram more fiction. I'm cramming fiction in from a different end, and I don't want any more in from the Star Wars end. We're just going to plug that hole, cover it with some cement. Like when they go up to one of those areas that's busted out of like a wall with some bricks, and they cover it in bricks or Legos, fill it in with Legos, and then paint it to look like the thing. And you're just like, you'll never know it's Legos here. Or ramen. Have you ever seen somebody fill in like a wood paneling with like a ramen? They just sand it down. Those videos are great.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, that's an old one. That's an old one for sure. That was back fucking not late stage internet times when memes were fun activities that meant making the world a better place by filling in holes with ramen noodles.